Hey folks, so today we're going to wrap up this month of diet. So my goal for this month was to give you a bunch of videos trying to help you along your fat loss goals. It's pretty common for people to want to get off the holiday period and to do a cut in January. Now, so far this month, I've released videos on how to structure your diet, giving you different strategies for how to actually structure a good diet. Talked a little bit about what the common pitfalls are with dieting, and also talked a bit about cardio, what common mistakes are with dieting with cardio. So with this video, I want to talk about another problem with dieting and to provide you with kind of an exit strategy. So the big issue that I want to speak about today is chronically dieted individuals. Now, this is an issue that I see, and it's something you've got to warn against. So with chronically dieting individuals, what I'm talking about is people who are just dieting seemingly all the time. They're constantly on a diet. They're constantly on this roller coaster. Every time you see them, it's I'm starting a new diet, or I've got a new thing to do, a new cardio kickstart or new transformation kickstart. Inevitably, what happens is these transformations and these 2,000 calorie diets, they just peter out. You don't really hear from them again until the next couple of months where there's another new one. And in January, there's loads. So it's a similar concept to cardio bunnies. We all know somebody who's really into cardio. That's all they do. And their entire goal is constantly to burn off calories. I burn off this many calories today, going to burn off this many tomorrow. And they're constantly just trying to get smaller and smaller. The problem is that's not a good strategy. This is the reason why you guys are here on my channel and you're not on cardio bunny runs or whatever, right? It's because our goal is not just to get smaller and smaller. We are here to get jacked, to build muscle. Now, the problem is if you're constantly dieting, if you're chronically dieting, you're going to have parallels with this cardio bunny. And at the end of the day, they're going to have to keep up all that cardio. They're going to have to keep up that calorie deficit all the time because they're constantly getting smaller and smaller. Whereas for you and me, the idea is our metabolism should be getting bigger and bigger. Now, for me, at the age of 42 now, my maintenance intake is about 3,000 calories. I'm a pretty big guy. And that's due to a lifetime of lifting. I was nothing like this when I was younger. So that's the end stage benefit. I could just hang out 28, 29, 3,000 calories and just maintain. That's a good amount of food for me. And that's a good situation to be in. So my purpose of this video today is to talk about chronically dieting and how you've got to have an exit strategy. You can't be dieting the majority of the time. You've got to put an end to this cycle. And at some point, no matter where you are, you've got to focus on building some muscle. And we'll talk about some strategies on how to do that. So before I go on to the main points that I've got listed in my notes, like the video, please. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you find value in my content, help the channel grow. Share the content, comment, send it to your friends, subscribe if you haven't done so. And it all helps to get my channel up there and it keeps me producing content. So point number one, let's talk about the limitations of chronic dieting. Now, we get into the situation where people just end up getting tired. Their bodies get tired, their metabolisms get tired, they're just chronically depressed. Now, what happens when you've been on a diet for a long time? You guys know you get lazy. Your NEAT goes down, right? These are metabolic adaptations that occur. So your body slows down. You can get up to about 10 to 15% of just metabolic slowdown, which is quite a lot if you think about it. If you take my 3,000 calorie maintenance, that's going to take me down to about 2,500 calories. That's quite a lot. 2,500 calories. That's a lot. Now, equally speaking, my NEAT could go down if I'm really chronically dieted. Now, I know when I did my contest in 2018, my NEAT was horrendous. I was doing lots of cardio to make up for it. So I was just so tired. So you've got a situation where you've got a guy who seemingly has a 3,000 calorie maintenance, may well be maintaining on 2,300 all of a sudden. So you have this real situation where the metabolism does slow down. It's not just a myth. There are mechanisms for that to occur, which are well proven in the research. And on top of that, your activity slows down too. Perhaps you go less hard on the cardio. Perhaps you go less hard at the gym. All that amounts to your overall calories burnt slowing down. That means it's just that much harder to continue the diet. Now, imagine if this is a chronic thing. Imagine if you're always starting a new diet. Imagine that guy who's always starting my new 2,000 calorie diet, pasting it all over YouTube and over Instagram. You think to yourself, surely this guy has started a lot of diets over the last 5 years. When's he going to finish one? When's he going to start bulking? It's because he's chronically dieted. Like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's got no idea. So he starts a diet, fails, starts it out, fails, can't see past the next week or two, can't see long-term, and the long-term damage that he's doing to his body. Now, you and I are not supposed to be like that. You and I are lifters, right? We have that in common. We are looking to build our bodies. So we can't spend the majority of our time dieting. So if you're in a position where you've got down to a reasonable body weight, where you are, let's say normal body weight, but you still don't have the body you desire. Let's say you're a bit skinny fat. The point is not to cut even more at this stage. You have to have some balance. I would recommend making sure you're spending at least some time during the course of the year with controlled, sensible bulking. Not to burst anyone's bubble, but bulking does not mean just binging after your diet's over. That's not bulking, because all that leads to is another diet. So that's point one. These are limitations of chronic dieting. Okay, metabolic slowdown, also potentially nutrient deficiencies, and just mental fatigue. Now, the second point is there's a lot to be said for building muscle. First of all, muscle is sexy, right? Muscle looks good. Nobody really wants to lose weight. What we want to do is lose fat, okay? Because if you're jacked with muscle and minimal levels of fat, you're going to look good, right? That's the idea. We're after building muscle. That's why we're here. Again, that's why you're on my channel. You're not on some cardio bunnies channel. We don't have that in common with them. We're looking to build ourselves up, not always to cut ourselves down. Even for you guys who are very overweight, the goal should still be to build muscle, because that's going to improve your chances in the long term to actually stay lean. So, importance of building muscle. It gives you a couple of things. First of all, it does increase your metabolism. All right. It also means the weight that your body normally settles at, which for me is anywhere between 80 to 90 kilos, it means you're more muscular. Now, throughout my lifting life, whenever I've reapproached, say, 90 kilos or down to 80 kilos, I've always been more muscular. And that's the goal. If you're just chronically dieting, you're just chronically getting down to, say, 70 kilos or 155 pounds or whatever. And every time you do that, you think, oh, I've got to get leaner. I'm not quite where I want to be. I'm still got a bit of fat on me. And so you binge out of it, and then you start a diet again. Binge out of it, start a diet again. And you're constantly 155 and not quite where you want to be. Your normal weight, it's clearly not working. So spend some time building muscle. When I mean spend some time, I mean spend 6 months, 8 months building some muscle mass to make sure you've actually got some muscle. So next time when you diet down to 155, you look better at 155. That's the idea. Okay, you don't want to just stay in this skinny fat zone. You've got to build at some point. So second point is, it is important to build muscle. We are bodybuilders after all. Okay, that's the goal. We have that advantage. Lifting is a massive advantage. It's a cheat code for life. Don't give all that up by having all the strategy of a cardio bunny. You're not a lifter then, right? Now, in terms of point three, this is where I want to look at long-term planning. You should have a plan for the year. Okay. Now, I don't think you should have a completely rigid, unchanging plan, but you should have an idea. I think particularly for dieting, you should have an idea. I would say it's not a bad idea to set some kind of loose time frame for a diet. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. I've gone back and forth over the concept of time frames for over the years. I think initially I did used to have time frames. Then I thought to myself, maybe you don't want a time frame. Maybe you want to just adjust things from week to week. I think the best of both is probably worthwhile. So I say, if you are going to do a cut, gauge how long you can do it successfully for, based on your current mentality, also based on any dates you have coming up. If you've got a holiday coming up in 12 weeks, great, 12-week cut, get started. It also provides you with a finishing point. So there's a sense of urgency. That's important. And also, it means you've got an end point. You've got to get out. So I'm going to be cutting for 12 weeks. Right, then I'm going to do a bulk for maybe 18 weeks, 20 weeks, so that I've got my year planned out. Now, for you guys who are on the leaner side, you're going to leverage bulking more and cutting less. Now, for you guys who are on the fatter side, doesn't mean you can't bulk, right? In fact, I've got a guy right now, Steve, if you're listening, hello. He's dropped 70 pounds of body weight, 70 pounds. We're currently bulking. He's put on about 10 pounds. Great. Fantastic. He's putting on some muscle, which is for the long term going to be to his benefit. And when he cuts, next time he cuts back down to 90 kilos, he's going to be that much leaner. It's a good thing for him. He needs to grow some muscle. It's not just about getting smaller. Again, that's the advantage. So third point is, use a certain amount of periodization, plan your year out, okay? You should have distinct bulking and cutting phases, unless you're doing a recomp, but that is a different conversation altogether. Recomping is valid, by the way. I have nothing against it, and I quite support the idea, but it requires a different conversation. So let's just firstly discuss bulking and cutting. Okay. Now, the reason that we do this is what the bulk offers is almost like making up for what you lose during the cut. So with the cut, your metabolism slows down, as I've explained. Also, you may get some mental fatigue, some diet fatigue, all that kind of stuff. The bulk takes all that away. Now, what happens in the bulk? You get a bit sluggish, you get a bit tired, you add a bit of body fat. That all comes off in the cut. So it's like yin and yang. You've got to have them both. So do not make the mistake this year of starting off on a diet and right throughout the whole year, your periodization is just cut, binge, cut, binge, cut, binge. Come on, let's do it right. Have distinct phases. There's a sense of urgency, and then you know what you're going to do next. And then you can plan those phases like a professional, right? I'm going to call it there. This is going to be the final video on nutrition this month, and then we'll go back to regular programming. I have some videos planned for that. But I just want to emphasize the key points. First of all, it's very easy to fall into the trap of being chronically dieted, especially if you're not happy with where your physique is. Maybe you feel a little bit too fat. Maybe you're skinny fat. Maybe you're very fat. And you just are constantly on this cycle of just dieting all the time. Dieting until you get sick and tired of it. Then you blow back up and you're sick and tired of it again. Learn how to cut properly. Learn how to bulk properly. Use a phasic approach across the year. And make sure you're focusing on correct nutrition, correct training, and correct rest. If you need help with any of those things, there's a link in the description where we can discuss coaching, where I can help you do that. So thank you for tuning in. Really enjoy doing this, and I'm really glad that the channel's growing and you guys are watching my content. So all the best, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. I'll speak to you in the next one.